This webinar training is being provided by the Louisiana Department of Health, Office of Public Health, Bureau for Community Preparedness. This webinar is part of the Bureau's Emergency Preparedness and Response Educational Series. This series will address gaps, issues, concerns, training, and educational needs throughout all 9 public health regions, with a focus on topics that will enhance readiness and response. Webinar topics have been selected based on improvement plans and with the input and assistance of the OPH Public Health Emergency Response Coordinators. All feedback is important and encouraged for improvement and insight for planning future training modules.
All right, so this is the tactical communications training, the Communicator 4.5. That's the version that we're using now, and messaging, because some people still were having questions about FIN requirements and things like that, so we're just going to review that again. So the objectives are, we're going to go over like correctly wording the message to follow the FIN guidelines. We're also going to do the sort of communicator overview, basically build in the scenarios, how to name the messages, how to name the groups, all that kind of fun stuff. So the overview that we're going to do today is we're going to look at the login screen. We're going to talk about the 2 different companies. We're going to talk about contacts, groups, messaging, scenarios, and reports. I mean, all the high points of Communicator. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the contacts and setting up group identifiers. So in the contacts at the bottom, so you can see the contact screen. At the very bottom down here where it says custom fields, these are the main fields that you can use to set up a dynamic group. Okay, so I'm going to go into Communicator and wait, sorry. I forgot how to switch. Sorry guys. Okay. So this is the login screen for Communicator, and if you've used it, you know what it looks like. So you have to put in your username, which if it's letters, if it's just numbers, that's fine, but if you have a username that involves letters, you have to make sure that it's capitalized. If it was all caps to begin with, it has to be all caps. It's not one of those things where you can enter it in and it doesn't matter if it's caps or not. It does matter in Communicator. And also the company name needs to be all caps also. So for the state company, it's just LADHHOPH. For regional companies, you add that REG at the end, and then you hit login as soon as you type in your password. Okay, so then the next thing that comes up is the screen that's automatically going to be set to the Scenarios tab. So the tabs up here are an easy way to go back and forth between the different sections of Communicator. So the contacts is the first tab in the line, and if you want to look for a specific person, like we can look for me, you can choose whether you want last name. Over here you can choose between last name, first name, user ID. Usually it defaults to last name. So when you find a person, if they're already in there, you click on them. You can go in and change whatever you need to change. You can add as many phone numbers, emails, faxes. We don't really use Alpha or numeric pager, but we do have text now. Now it doesn't automatically make a cell phone number into a text device. You have to go in and go to your cell, copy it, so highlight it, copy it, and then go to the text. You know, so there's only one choice for the provider type, or so that you have to choose that. Then you copy it. Oh, I didn't copy my number, I forgot. So, but I mean, you just copy it in there and then hit add, and it will add it to the list. Now, if you want to see all the devices of a person, you click all and it shows back up. So if you haven't gone and done that for your contacts and you want to send text messages, you need to do that individually. Let's see. So the custom device, custom fields, like click this available tab that shows you all the different ones. Now for the regional company, it's a few different. They're not all exactly the same as this one, but these are the fields that are easy to use to make a dynamic group. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. Okay, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Sorry, guys. All right. So the updating contacts, that's, you have to update your contacts to make sure that they're accurate. So when you're sending out, doing your quarterly test or during an event, doing notifications, that you have the right contact information. And when you're in the contact page, if you make a change, be sure and hit that save button. So be sure and hit this save button before you leave this contact, or everything you did, even if you spent 30 minutes, it's going to go away if you don't hit the save before you go back to summary. So just be sure. I do it, I might do it 2 or 3 times while I have the contact open, just to make sure. I do that in every section of Communicator, because it's easy to click off of it and not, then you've lost everything. So all of the regional tactical communication staff, which are FERCs, nurse coordinators, and Zika people probably, they have creator status. If you request someone to use Communicator, they're going to have what's called the creator status in the security access. So a creator in Communicator can do everything that an administrator can do except assign security users, which is what those different levels, that's called security users. So creators can add and edit contacts, they can add and edit groups, they can create messages, they can create and activate scenarios, and they can look at reports on the scenarios. Now the other part of that is when you create a group and say you're in a region and there's 2 other people that need to get into Communicator and look at that group. I'm going to go into Communicator and show you. Oh wait, did I hit the wrong one? Hit the wrong one! Okay, it's in the current one. Okay. Alright, so when you are in, say you're creating a group. Well, I'm just going to click on a group that's already created. Alright, so when you do this and you want to, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back. I'm going to create a group, add a new group, wait. So this is another thing we can talk about. Be sure and name it correctly. The way we told the regions to name it is do like R1 or region 1, however you want to put it, test. I'm just going to call this. Alright, so then at that time you have to decide whether you want it to be a static or dynamic group. If you do a static group, as you can see, you have to manually create the group. So these are the possible contacts, and then this would be the people in the group. So the way to add someone to that group is search for them. When you find them, you click over here, and then you hit add. Okay, so now that person's added to the group. If you want to delete them or take them out of the group, you click on them and hit remove. Once you have 2 or 3 people, you can use these buttons to change their order in the list, because the order of the list of the group is how the messages are going to be sent out. So if you have something that you really need your medical director to get first, make sure their name is at the top of the list. If there's a person that needs to get it last, make sure they're the last person on the group. Okay, so once you have the group and you want to save it, see how it asks you have not assigned security users. So when you create a group and you're a creator, the only way other people in your region can see it is if you assign them as a security user on the group. So if you're having a problem with people not being able to see your group, let me know and I'll have to go in and probably make that assignment for you so everyone can see the groups. And it's the same with the scenarios. Everyone has to be allowed to view it, to see it. So that's just a step in Communicator. They're trying to make sure that people don't see messages that they're not supposed to. Okay. Is that going to happen every time?
Well, you can do it from current slide.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. So, all right. So we went over this. Okay, so naming the groups, just like I said, use the region name first. And if you want to do R and then the number, or type out region and the number, that's fine. That just helps me when I'm trying to help y'all to find something. If you put your region name first, because I can see all the regions. So if I can find it by region, that helps me to help y'all. And then after that, you can just try and be as specific as possible when you're naming the group. So like if it's a group that I need to help you with, it helps me to find it if it makes sense, basically. Like if you just name it pod group, I'm not sure exactly what that means. Does that mean pod core team, or is that some other like pod assignment, or so try to be as specific as you can. And if you need help, you always call me if you have a question. And if you change like your SNS group or your incident command team group names, if you just let me know, because I kind of know now, I kind of have a list of which regions that I do the quarterly drill for. I kind of know their group names, so if you make a change in that, if you could let me know, that would help. So basically, we kind of looked at the static group. The other type of group, so basically the static, it has the specific contacts assigned. If you want to make a change, you have to go in and manually change it. The dynamic group, we're going to look at that now. So this is what the static group looks like. So this is the list of people in the group. These are the people that are possibly in the group. And you can see at the bottom, if there's more than one list for this group, it'll have numbers at the bottom you can click on. So the other type of group is a dynamic group. So basically there are conditions. So you see build a requirement. So you can set an attribute, and this is where you pick different fields to use to create. So Communicator creates that group. So this group, you can see the way Communicator did it is it looked for, in the custom field, it was called position 1, any condition that's like, so anything that starts with Zika coordinator, and that % just means it doesn't matter what's behind those letters. It's gonna, if it starts with Zika coordinator, it's gonna automatically pull people into that group. So then you can see the list and you can see the number. There's 9 people in the group and you see who's in there. So I'm gonna go into Communicator and show you. All right, I'm gonna look for a group. So you can also see right here which ones are dynamic and which ones are static. So like the group we just looked at. So that's the condition. If you want to put other conditions on there, so say you want to only have people from a certain city, you can pick that. You can make it like, not like, equal, not equal. You can do it doesn't have to just be like. And then the value is whatever you want that specific thing to be, like Alexandria. If you add that, okay, now you only have one person in your group. And you can also say they have to meet all these conditions or any of these conditions. So if we click that, everyone's going to come back because they had more than anybody with Alexandria. See how many people are in there now? Because anybody with Alexandria in their address got added. So if you decide, hey, I really don't want that anymore, you click on that and then you hit remove requirement. And it'll ask you, are you sure? Yes, I'm pretty sure. So boom, now we're back down to the 9 original people. So this is a way to manage a big group or a group you think might change a lot, because all you need to do to change this group is to update the person's contact. So if you just have to remember, and if you can't remember, open the group up and see what the condition is. Like, how did I create this group? Oh, I went into that custom field named position 1 and I typed in Zika coordinator, and that's how I got the group to form. So this is a way, especially like if it's a large group, to update the group without having to go in and manually change a lot of different people all the time. So, and then again, if you made any changes and you want to be sure, you hit save. And it'll make sure that you want to do that, because you only have administrators being able to view this, but that's okay. So then back to summary. So those are the 2 types of group. I know you told me, but I don't remember. Just trying to show the whole screen.
Oh, current
slide. I'm learning things so much. Okay, everybody's learning today. All right. So for messaging, there's two parts to the messaging training today. And the first is the communication request form. So in the region,
John,
uh-huh.
I have a question before you move on about
Okay.
groups.
Okay.
I see a name on there that doesn't belong there, and I know we have some updates to do. If you form the group,
Uh-huh.
can Karen delete a name and add names? Or
Yes.
is it only, go on.
I think that if there's a group that you don't see, let me know. I mean, or you think should be there and it's not there that I created or helped you with. I tried to make sure that I went through and added everybody, like all of you should be able to see every group in your region. But if you see an issue or something that you think that I did and you can't see, just let me know and I'll go in and make sure.
This is what I'm saying. You
Uh-huh.
have AA there down as a hospital DRC.
Uh-huh.
Well, she's been gone for over 9 months, and we have 2 new hospital DRCs.
Okay.
And now I'm questioning if my newer, that's been here for a year, EMS DRC is on there. I think you originally formed the groups.
Uh-huh.
So what I want to know is, can Karen go in and delete the
Yes.
names that need to be deleted, even though you formed the group, and
Yes.
add the new names?
As long as you are, so the only way you're really able to see that group is that you're allowed access to the group. So if you can see the group as a creator, you can add or delete anything in that group. If you try to and you have a problem, let me know, but you should be able to. That's part of what you can do as a creator. You can modify the groups, you can modify contacts, you can modify scenarios, even if someone else creates them. Like if you created something and as long as you allowed her access, she should be able to go in and change it. So if someone creates a scenario, like if you have one for your quarterly pod core team call down, then someone else should be able, as long as they have access to it, they should be able to go in there and make a change or adjust it as they need to.
Okay, Karen's listening in, and she's the one who does a communicator, so she can go ahead and delete and update that.
Yes, everyone.
We'll call you.
All the FERCs and the nurse coordinators should be on every group and scenario for your region. If you need, like the Zika coordinators need to be on there, just let me know, and I'll go in there and put them on. So anyone that you normally, like is your backup or the normal person that deals with communicator, just let me know if they're not able to see things, because if you don't have access, you're probably not even going to see any groups at all. When you go to the group tab, nothing will be there. So it should be pretty easy to know right away if you have access or not. So just let me know if you see something that's out of place or whatever. Just let me know and I'll help. I'll get it fixed for you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey John, it's Mike.
Hey.
Hey, I got a question. I didn't see it anywhere in the presentation. Let's say Janet does an activation and sends out a message, but if I go in and try to find that to use that message or whatever, how do we do it so we can both have access to the same stuff?
To the message?
Yeah.
I don't think it restricts the message, but I'll go look and make sure. I thought that the groups and the scenarios are the only ones that are restricted, but I'll go back and double check it. So you should just be able to search for whatever she named it, and then you should be able to see it. And when you're doing a scenario, when you get to that part, that tab that says message, you click on whatever device you're trying to send the message by. You click on that drop down and you should be able to see it in the list and pick it. But I'll go after this and I can call you and we can go through it to make sure you're seeing the message that she created.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
No problem. Anybody else have any questions? Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the communication request form. So this should be filled out for every message that you send, and they need to be approved. So if it's just a normal operations thing, the director can sign it, and then once you send the message out, you sign it as the communications person that sent that message out. So this has a record of the date and time of your messages, who's going to get it. So think about your target audience of who should get this message, and what's the outcome you want for the message. That helps you decide your target audience, and also it gives you approval of the wording of the message. That just covers the person that's sending it out, that they sent out the right thing. So this is one, I just wanted to show you like a sample of one that we sent out for Zika. So at the top it has the date, then it has the time. Now this one's not written in military time, but normally we put it in military time. Who's requesting the message, the name of the message, and then the urgency of the message. And then this section is the target audience thing of what you think about. So every group that the person that wants the message sent to needs to be checked in here. And then for the different types of devices is what it's called in Communicator. So you pick which, like this is only email, and it's only going to go through Communicator, and then this will be the name of the message. So this next section is what the message should say. So I didn't put the whole thing because this went on for 3 or 4 pages, but it needs to have in this box, it's not written, but in the Tactical Communication Annex it says it. Part of the FIN requirements is it needs to have the date and time. So when you're creating a message in Communicator, we're going to look at it in a second, but you can put in those auto texts, so it automatically puts the date and the time the message is sent when you have those 2 auto text commands in there. And then the next line would be the urgency of the message, which you go back and look right here. It tells you hi. And then the other part of the FIN requirements is saying who is sending this message out. So that's why you need to say this is a message from Region 3, Office of Public Health, Emergency Operations Center. And if you want them to share it, please put a sentence like that in. So this was the introductory part of a CDC health advisory that we sent out. So we wanted to make sure they knew there was no Zika cases currently in Louisiana at that time. Also, we wanted to make sure they had the numbers to call in to report if they suspected. So, and then this just started the CDC advisory that we sent out. So then at the bottom, at the bottom of the message, they need to tell you, the person that wants the message sent, if there's an attachment or not. If there's not, it's fine, but if there is, they need to give you that attachment so you can send it. And then, like I said, during emergency operations, you would get the logistics chief and then the incident commander to sign to approve it before you sent the message. During normal operation, it could be the program director, the medical director, whoever's sending it out. And then once you send it, you sign it, and everybody needs to put the date and the time. That's just the legal record of it. Okay, so I kind of talked about this a little bit for a second. Wait, I want to just show you. I'm sorry. So this is the blank. I'm going to make it a little bigger. My old eyes can't see. Okay, so this is the communication request forms. I went and updated the logo and things like that. I'm going to send that out to you. So then this part's the date, then military time. So once you did that, you take out that. Who requested it, why they're requesting it, the urgency. And then on your forms, you put your region number in, and you click whoever. If you need to add a new group, you just list it in any of these rows you can put. And if you need to add more, you add more. So you don't feel restricted by that part. You can add as many groups as you need to. Then you need to say, is it going to be a communicator message? If it is, which devices are you using? If it's just a HAN email or email group that you have in Outlook, you can click that. Then this part is the actual body of the message. Then again, the attachments, and then the signature. All right, so I've done a sample one so you can see. So I'll just put this as a test at the top. So today at 10:30, Dr. Jane Smith from Region 10 Medical Director wants to send out a mumps outbreak in Faux Parish schools email. So it's hi, and then I would put 10 if that's the region in here. And the person decided, the medical director decided she wanted these groups to get the message. So also as a communications person, if you think there's another group that you have in Communicator saved that might need to get this message, you might suggest, hey, I have a Region 10 school system group. Should we do that? And the person would say yes or no, and you can decide. And then you can click on whatever device you want. And then this is the message. So once you get the report and the request form and the message is approved, all you have to do is copy it, and then you can paste it into Communicator to create your message. So in here, I just put an example that you'd use the date and time auto text, and you put the message urgency, and then who's it from, and whatever the body of the message is. And of course, if you're just doing a test or a drill, make sure you put this is a test, this is a test, this is a test, or however you want to write it. So then I pretended like this is a signed thing of who did it, and make sure that the date and the time is on there. So this part's blank at first. Once you get it and it's been approved by the people, then you do the message, and as soon as the message goes out, that's when you sign it and put the time that the message, when Communicator creates the message, you'll see the time that it was created. So I'm going to go back and, because I didn't copy it. So I just want to show you how to create a message by doing the copy. It's just basic thing. You just copy it. You can either right click and copy or Control C. Is that right? Mm-hmm. And then you go into messages. Add a new message. You need to name the message. So the way I name my messages for us is putting the date, but I'm going to put Region 10 because that's the caps lock. Alright, so now I'm just going to say R10. And I'm going to say mumps, because I think that's what made up message I did yesterday. And if you want to put the date, like 3/8, you can do that also. So until you click the type of device you want, it's not going to allow you, like I can try and put something in here, but it's not going to let me do it. Like you can hit Control V, but it's not going to let me put anything until I click up here that, hey, I have a voice message. Now I can do paste, or I can do Control V or whatever. So when you're doing voice messages, just remember to make sure it's text to speech unless you want to record a message. And if you do text to speech, make sure you hit render speech to hear, because if it might not sound exactly as it's written, so you might want to just listen to it to make sure. So here is the auto text box. If you want to put in the date, where it'll automatically generate the date that the message is sent, because it might be different, this is the box you would use to insert that. And it's not coming up for some reason. Okay, so for email, same thing, paste it. Now, I just wrote that in, so I want to take it out and... Okay, this is an issue that we have to address one, because in Chrome, it won't let you use these auto texts. So if you're in Explorer, this gray box would come up with a list of different, like, automatic commands, and it would put in date, and that's the one that has like the name, and then it'll have like a bunch of like % and different symbols. So there's one for date, there's one for start time, and those are the two you would use. Now also don't forget you need a subject line for your email, or it'll go out without a subject line and it might go straight to junk mail. So those auto texts are also for email. That's how you put in, if you want someone to respond by email and count them as a responding person, you have to use the auto text that says the subject one says qualify subject, and you have to also put the one in the body of the message at the bottom of the message that says qualify body. So that's the only way that your message is that the person, if you choose to have them respond by email, that's the only way they're going to be able to do it, is you put those auto texts in there. So then you have to make sure you save the message. So it's telling me I have to put a subject in. It's not going to let me. That's one thing, Communicator, it'll tell you if you're doing something that's going to make it fail automatically, it'll tell you it'll remind you, it'll prompt you. Like if you're trying to delete someone's contact, it'll ask you, are you sure? When you're about to activate a scenario, it'll say, are you sure? This, I'm trying to save a message, but I don't have a subject line, so it's telling me you have to have that. Okay. So then once it's saved, let's see, you can go to scenarios if you want to create a new scenario. Okay, well, we're going to get to this in a second, so I'm not going to go over it right now. I'm going to go back to the okay, so just like I was saying, in the auto text button, when you hit that button, a gray box comes up with the list. So it'll say click start date. Then you hit insert. There's an insert button at the bottom of the box, and that'll insert the auto text into not test text. And so same thing when you're doing the start time, you do the same thing. You click that button, the box comes up, you click on start time, you hit insert, and it'll put it automatically in the body of the message. Okay, and if you're doing, like I said, if you're doing a drill, a call down drill, or if it's an exercise, a hurricane exercise, something like that, make sure you say this is a test or this is an exercise. Make sure you have that in it if it's a test situation, because you don't want someone getting a message and thinking that's the real thing and they need to respond. So make sure also, part of the FINRA requirements is that they know who the message is coming for. So make sure you have, this is Office of Public Health, region, whatever. So this all is part of the Tactical Communications Annex. In the last one that was sent out, it's pages 11 through 14, and it talks about the FINRA requirements. It talks about what must be in the message. It's all listed out, and then it goes on to you know, how to, it talks about each different part of the message and what you're trying to do and what you need to do to get that outcome. So if you reviewing, this is being revised, but this part is really not going to be revised that much. So if you have questions, if you're looking at it and you don't understand, or you don't see something that covers what you need, let me know to make sure that we update it to cover everything that we need to cover. Okay. So this next part is the creating scenarios. I kind of went to the scenarios part, but we'll go back. So just know that the first 4 tabs, when you open up the scenarios tab, the main tab, there's a set of tabs in the middle. And the first 4 tabs are general, call flow, groups, and messages. So you have to set up those first 4 tabs before you can save the scenario. Then the other tabs that you can go in and make changes to are report setting and activation setting. Those don't have to be done before you can save it, but the first 4 definitely do. So, the general, the call flow, the groups, and the messages, those 4 have to be completed before you can save it. So and that's what's telling you on this message right here. So this is also showing you the call flow groups, which we'll come back to in a second. I just want to go to the actual communicator to see. So when you open up the scenarios tab and you want to create a scenario, you have to make sure and name it first. So please start with your region. I'm just going to put the fictional region 10. And then whatever message that's going to help you, whatever name that's going to help you remember the scenario, like mumps outbreak, if we're using the fake one I did. And sometimes I'll put the date just so I know if there's going to be multiple messages. I like to put the date. And the other thing I do that helps me, because the scenario ID has to be different for every message you create. So I usually put the date as and I'll put the time. So that helps me, that's another way that helps me know the date and time that I created the message, the scenario. So the first tab is general. This is where you put the priority. So if you're doing a test, you hit test. If it's a high urgency message, high. If it's an emergency message, you can also click that. This is a test, so we're going to do the test. The duration is how long the scenario is going to run. So if you have a message that's going to a lot of people, or if it's supposed to start at a later date, you might want to, a later time, you might want to consider that. If it's like 10 or 12 people, excuse me, 1 hour is plenty. This is where you need to put the devices you want. So the request we had said email, so that's what we're going to put in both of these columns. The attempts is the number of times it's going to do it. So it defaults to 2, but I change it to 1 because if you're doing something where it's a notification and you want to send out, hey, be on alert, you might be activated, and then you want to send out one that's saying you are activated. If you have 2 or 3 or 4 attempts, it might still be sending out that notification of activation, of possible activation, but after the actual notification notice goes out, so it can cause confusion. Now, if you just put 1 and it doesn't reach the person, it's going to try again on its own. So I think up to 5 times. So you don't have to put 5 in there for it to keep trying. That's automatically going to keep trying. So I just put it to 1 to cause less confusion. Any of the rest of these can stay how they are as a default. The section now, the call flow section, this is the next part we're going to go over, but you can see that for every type that you can pick, this right here is a list of what's going to happen during the call flow. So if you get confused about which one, simple response or simple understand or just simple, it'll tell you when you click it what's going to happen when they get that message. So let's look at it. So you can see right here, it's a little bit bigger. You might be able to see it better. So for the call flow tabs, these are the different types that are of the options: simple, simple understand, simple respond, secure delivery, secure response, and are you okay? So in the are you okay, you see there's an outbound greeting. That's where it says this is a message from the communicator system. Then it says it'll ask if they want to repeat the message, and then it'll say, are you safe and okay? The person has to enter an ID to say they are okay, and would they like to enter their phone number. If it's a number that's not noted in their communicator contact, it'll add it as another phone contact. So then it'll just ask them if they've successfully checked in. So basically, for simple, they're going to get a greeting, the message, and they can have the message repeated, and that'll be it. So there's no way for them to show that they received the message. The communicator will just show whether there's a problem getting the phone call or the email out. Simple understands, when they get the message, they can have it repeated, and then it'll ask them if they understood, and that's when they have to press 1 for yes, or 1 or 2 to indicate yes or no that they understood it. So simple response is they get the message, they can repeat the message, they ask if they can respond to that situation, like if the ESC is being activated or the medical special needs shelter is being activated and they need to respond at a certain time. They can say yes, and then they can put in their estimated time of arrival. So if you're doing a test and people say they can respond and they can enter their estimated time of arrival, they'll show up as a qualified person in the test. If they say no, they will show up as unqualified or not filled. So that's something you need to look at when you're doing AARs, because if you are just trying to see if they get the message and they know how to respond, and just because they said no, that's still getting the message and that's still responding. So you need to decide if that's how you want to report it. So when you look at the report, you might need to highlight that even though they couldn't respond to the emergency, they did respond to the message correctly. So that's something you need to look at. Now, secure delivery and secure response, these are two that the person has to enter their user ID to get the message. So if there was some real sensitive message that the person had, you had assigned a user ID to, they could get it and key it in to respond to these. We don't really use those that much, but we do have the option to if we needed to. Are you okay is just what we talked about. It's like if you had someone out and there was a plant explosion and they might be near and you weren't sure, you couldn't reach them. This is another possible way you could reach them to see if they were okay. But again, they would have to enter their user ID to respond to this. Okay, so the second I'm sorry. The next part is to show. I'm just making sure. Okay. Are there any questions about the messaging part? Okay. The next part is the activation. So when you're at the scenario, let's just go back into Communicator. So when you're at the sorry, this is one that we were trying to create. So I didn't finish it. So anyway, this is the second tab. So we're just going to leave it at simple. And then for groups, you have to pick a group that you want. So you add that group and then the message you want. So whatever device you want to send out, and if you're doing voice, you need to pick the message that, whatever message you created for this scenario, that's where you pick that. If you're doing voice, you have to choose answer machine as well. Otherwise, they're just going to get a default test message from Communicator. So be sure if you're using voice, you pick both of these things the same. And then if you want email, it has to be chosen the same also. Now down here, it's going to automatically be checked, but if you're sending an email, you don't need to send an email saying with the exact same message. So unclick that. So once these 4 things are chosen, you hit save, and that'll save the scenario. Now, when you first save the scenario, it's going to automatically go back into the summary list, and you have to find it to open it back up again. Oh, I put 3. Sorry. So this is the one we just created. So you can open it up and go to proceed to activation from here. Once you get in here, you can make changes to any of these tabs. If you have a group and say, I only wanted to send it to myself, not Keith, you can unclick that person and hit save, and that tags them out of that message. But whatever you do, like if there was multiple pages and you go to each different page, you have to hit save if you take people out of that page. So if you have like 5 pages and there's 2 or 3 people on each page, you have to, once you click them off, you have to hit save for each page before you go to the next page, or it won't save that you wanted that person out. So message, you can change the message. Like you can type a new message and put a new message name, and it's going to save it as a message, but it's not going to save it as the message for that scenario, because you already saved that message with a different message in that scenario. Later, if you want to make a scenario with that new message in it, you have to create a whole new scenario and add that as the message. So right here, it's going to automatically, you need to uncheck these to make sure it doesn't go out. The other part of the message creation, if you decide to use a text message, make sure you know that it's only 140 characters. So just be aware of that. When you're creating the message, you'll see the count down here of how many characters have been used. So just be aware of that. Okay, so once you decide you want to activate, you click this button. It's going to ask you, it'll put a box up, say, are you sure? And you say either yes or no at that time. But I really don't want to send this out, so I'm going to go back to summary. Now, if I don't want to open the scenario, I can click it here and do proceed to activation from here, and the same thing will happen. If I wanted to go into the scenario and have it automatically set up to do, so also here you can assign security user. So like if I needed to make sure Glynis could see this scenario, this is what y'all need to do when you're creating a scenario and you want your backup. You have to go in and tell it what you want them to be able to do for the scenario, and then you hit add, and there, boom, down at the bottom. So you can also, like we said, set up to do a scheduled activation. You have to make sure this box is clicked. You check whatever frequency, if you want it every month, if you want it one time. Then you tell it what time you want it to start, the date you want it to start, and hit save at the end when you're finished with everything. but I don't really want it to do that, so I'm not going to do that. And I'll hit save just automatically before I go back to summary, just to make sure everything I did in that scenario is right. If I'm finished with this scenario, I can hit here, click it on that box, and hit remove scenario, and it's going to say, are you sure? Because you just did a lot of work to create this scenario, basically. But I'm going to say yes, I'm sure. So that's basically the scenario part. And we did the activation. So this is talking about the message name. So if you want to do a new message, you put a new name to it, it'll save it. This is the report part. So when you go in, after the activation is over, after the scenario is run, and you go back and you want to look at the report, you have to go to the report tab. So all the reports are listed. If you want to look for a specific one, so you click here and then you go to the top left-hand side and you decide which report you want to look at. So each different report shows you a different thing. So it depends on what you need to look at as to what report you want. So this is the one I usually look at if I'm doing an AAR. And it might take a little while. So now you can do more than one report at a time, where you used to not be able to do that. If you want to see if it's finished, you hit on the completed report tab. Okay. Also, look at the how-to box if you need help. Really, in any part of Communicator, it'll tell you different things. So it also has, when you're looking at reports, if you don't know what the abbreviations are on the report, this section shows you. You can go and look at what each letter means in each part. So that's a nice thing to have. Okay. So I think everyone's seen the different reports and stuff. So you can also look at it in PDF format or CSV format. It might say just Excel now. That was an upgrade from the last. And this is, again, showing the how-to box. This is a sample of what the abbreviations mean. So if you're having, like, the whole thing about being qualified or unqualified, that's explained in that section also. Were there any questions about anything that we covered? Okay, I want to, that sample, the sample request form, I'm going to send it to y'all, and I want you to create the message and send me, just me, not anybody else that's checked on here. Send me this message. And once you finish it, sign it and date with the time that you finished. If you could do it within the next hour, I would appreciate it. And then scan this and send it back to me, because this is going to be how I show that you understood what we talked about as far as messaging. Any questions about that? Okay. No questions about anything?
John.
Yes.
This is Carol again. I have a question, not about messaging. One of your first slides on the recipients, when you send a message from BCP, let's see if you can find the slide.
Messaging? Wait, which one?
No. When you start setting up your groups, who you send it to, your recipients?
This?
That. Okay. If we could only get into there when you send a message out and see who the recipients are, because as you know, when it's a very important message and we want to make sure it's shared with all the partners that we think are important to share with, we don't know who you sent it to, and I always have to call you and ask you.
Okay.
Is there any way that we can see this when you send a message out?
I'll talk to them and see. Maybe I could just scan that front page if they don't want the whole thing.
That's all we need.
Yeah.
That page to know the groups.
Yeah, because I mean, I have all these for each type, and I don't remember if it goes on the regional shared drive or not. But I can just ask that we scan that part and send it to the regions.
Yeah. So because we always have to call.
Yeah, that would help, especially it would
Save us a lot of time.
Yeah, and not delay the message. Okay.
Thank you.
Let me write that down because I'll forget. Anything else? Okay. Next month we're also going to have communications training. It's probably going to focus on if y'all have questions about the legal issues. Some people checked in their like review of what they had issues with for information sharing. Some people had questions about legal issues. So if you have specific questions about that, because a lot of things in information sharing regarding the legal part, that's really about how messages are sent and how they're secure over the internet and stuff like that. So some of that we really don't deal with. Like Wyman and I have talked to IT to make sure that that's all in place and that we're following the guidelines. But if there's some, and we did cover like legal issues with messages in the update of the SNS plan. It's also in the risk communication plan. So if you have questions related to how to word a message, or who's supposed to approve a message and who can say it should go out, or even if you have issues about the JIC or things like that, just send them to me, and that way it'll help me form the right, the right setup for the next training, basically. So I don't want to talk about a lot of stuff that people already understand or don't really have questions about. So if you have specific things, just let me know, because I wanted to address that where you thought there was a gap. So thank you very much for listening, and if you have any other questions, you can always email me.
John. This is Tammy. Can you tell us again what you said about sending you a message? Because I don't know what happened, but my screen went blank. I don't see any slides.
Okay, I'm going to send you a sample communication request form, and it's going to have a lot of boxes checked on the front, but don't send it to any of those people. Just take that message and send it to me. Through Communicator. I just want to see that y'all can send a message out in a short amount of time, basically. So it's just showing, and then take that form, print it out, and sign it and date it, and put the time that the message went out, and scan that and send it back to me. This is just my documentation that you took the training and that you can implement what we talked about in the training.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, guys, we're going to send out the email, and then if you could get it out within an hour of receiving the email, that would just show that we can send out messages in a timely manner. Thank you.